Alright, we are 3 minutes and 15 seconds away from State of the Game 161. I have Yannick and Bruce on the line with me. Actually, Bruce is in an office, which is a little bit of a wasteland. It's our new office. Can you hear me, Bruce?
Yeah.
That's cool. It's kind of like a preview of what's to come.
Mm-hmm. Lots of boxes, very
Lots
white.
of boxes, yeah. And
hanging
nobody.
wires. And it's just me.
Yeah. And you're one of the few that are in there. I should actually bring up chat. I don't know why that's disappeared. My bad.
So that's good. That means if I need someone to reboot my PC, I can ask you, Bruce. Should be someone.
Funny enough, Linnea was messaging me late last night saying, "Are you still in the office?" I was like, "Yeah, I am." He's like, "Could you go suspend one of the Xbox dev kits for me? I need to test something." I was like, "Sure."
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
Yannick,
Alright.
have finally a webcam? What are you talking about? I've always had a webcam.
This is true.
I'm just very good at being very, very still.
I realize I don't actually have Yannick's picture in here. That's a good reminder.
No.
I'm just gonna full screen Yannick's face. Does anyone have any issues with that?
Too bad.
My body is ready.
We okay? Chat? No problems there? Cool. Thought so. Alright. I think that's gonna be it. We'll talk to you all again in 1 minute and 40 seconds. Alright, bye!
В общем, да, всем привет. Разрабочучиваюсь насчет нового офиса, куда они переезжают. Там аж целый один Брюс во всем офисе сидит, коробки разгребает. Ну, утрирую, конечно, немножко. Ничего, сегодня опять пытаюсь. По идее, про вторую фазу и про фидбэк первой фазы. По идее, ничего интересного сегодня не предвидится, ну, а вдруг? Я думаю, порежут все просто, все, что они выпустили, просто все к херам. Потому что если оно в таком виде попадет на лайв-сервера, это будет просто трэш. Все новые таланты, все новые гирсеты, это все просто имба. Привет. Но если оно все-таки дойдет в том виде, в котором есть на ПТСе, это, конечно, будет что-то с чем-то. Мне очень понравился талант на крутаке, который возвращает one-shot, one-kill стиль игры. Очень понравился новый сет на негативные эффекты. Медик толком не протестил, но в принципе хорош очень даже. Ну, в кавычках танковый сет. То тоже имба еще та, ну, причем у меня есть подозрение, что он не так работает, как написано. Че, погнали?
Hello everyone and welcome to another Working From Home State of the Game. This is episode 161 and the date is the 27th of May 2020. I can't believe we're almost into summer. What? Technically summer starts on June 1st? I don't know. Bruce, Yannick, when would you say summer starts?
That's a good question. When it's not so depressingly dark outside constantly.
Yeah.
I'm one of those that goes with the 21st of June. So I don't believe in 1st of June. That's not summer to me. And when you look outside, it looks like summer today.
Ну вот, собственно, Yannick подтвердил то, что говорил я, что лето наступает 21 июня. То бишь, технически они выпустят рейд весной, как и обещали.
How are you doing, Yannick and Bruce?
Great.
Yeah.
Lots of crystal from the BTS, so that's exciting.
Well, you look very, very happy. I'm glad, like we mentioned in the preview, that people get to see a first look at Massive's offices behind Bruce. It looks like a bit of a ghost town, Bruce.
Вот, собственно, можете посмотреть на новый офис Massive. Центральная вебка.
very
The good thing
industrial
is
right
that
now.
Куда они уже
there's
давно
no visual
собираются
spoiler
переехать.
or anything because all the PCs are off.
Yeah, perfect. But it's cool. It's nice to kind of see that that you're in there. So anyway, I would need to get to the priority alerts before we go too far down this rabbit hole. But I want to say that there was regular maintenance performed yesterday. We fixed an issue that prevented players from, who were in a group from earning progress on global event challenges from their allies for some challenges. There was an issue fix that caused the
Серьезно?
the break the through the Black Tusk Forces part of the DARPA Research Lab main mission not opening. There was an issue fix that would allow players to constantly reset cooldowns of skills. The change for this means that players will no longer be able to swap out skills when charge-based skills are on cooldown. Makes sense. There has been some constant or niggling reports of deltas in raids and also just some general ones. Yannick, I know that we consistently look at what's happening there. What's the best information that people can give?
Неужели они все-таки к концу первого сезона починили то, что челленджи групповые, точнее, можно выполнять теперь в группе? Надо проверить будет.
To pinpoint. So basically, as much information as possible is always the most helpful thing. So if you can, when the delta happens to you, what we would need is first the exact error code you're getting. Just delta is very vague. So
Подсказка про дельты.
Time when that happens, where are you playing from, what ISP are you using, everything relating to connectivity basically would be really helpful. Were you in a group? Were you soloed? Was that match made, or was that just like a group of friends, so you know where they're playing from? All this kind of information, like the more you can put in there, the more useful it becomes for us.
Okay, cool. I mean, so it basically sounds like there's no limit to good information. Like, just give us everything. Or...
Yeah. I mean, there's
Привет,
no
хорошего
reason to
стрима, они
give
очень
customers,
быстро говорят, ты их
so the
успеваешь
more you can
переводить.
put in there, the better.
Переводить не успеваю, понимать, что они говорят, успеваю. Я все-таки не переводчик. Я их отлично понимаю. Но одновременно с ними говорить, естественно, не могу.
Bruce, I know I actually did bump into you in a few Twitch chats over the weekend and that sort of thing. Obviously, you've been looking at closely what players have been doing. What's been some of your highlights and things you've been looking at?
Ну, в общем, спросили хайлайты прошлой недели ПТС.
Really great to see how well received all the new gear has been for the most part. I think it's
понравились, как народ принял новые комплекты.
Community sentiment or the feedback that we've been getting has been almost unanimously positive.
И теперь мы в говно занервим. Ха-ха-ха. Но это я шучу так, если что.
One of them in particular may be a little bit too powerful, but
ну да,
we've
говоришь, что некоторые слишком крутые. Но я говорю, занерфят в хлам. Ага, и фиксы уже будут во второй фазе. Отлично.
But overall, it's been really awesome to see people like trying out the new, Adrenaline Rush and Headhunter and Regulus and Mantis and even the Ravenous, which is, on paper, like it's almost overwhelming. That you look at the talent tooltip text and it's just like this wall. So it can be kind of difficult to grok at first glance exactly, how strong or powerful it is. But we've seen people sort of experimenting with it and appreciating its potential.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Sorry, I just saw Chris's message in the ticker. It says Chris totally updated the ticker. Sorry, Hamish. It's fine now. It's all good. No, so I mean, I want to go into as many details about.
В общем, понравились им, как игроки, что игроки придумали с этими экзотиками новыми. Особенно с Регулусом.
The PTS will shut down on Thursday at 1 p.m. CEST, which is 7 a.m. Eastern.
29, ну в пятницу, все понятно, вторая фаза.
That's also 11 p.m. New Zealand time.
Ну вот, время я прослушал. 11, по-моему, он утро сказал.
PTS Phase 2 will go live on Friday, so that's pretty soon.
Yeah, so just one thing here, because to make sure it's not lost, but we are doing things a bit differently with this one. So you would have noticed that we are actually going to shut down the PTS for 24 hours. So we are closing it
ПТС
tomorrow,
выключат на 24 часа,
2 p.m. CEST, and we are reopening it 24 hours
начиная
later
с
with
завтрашнего
PTS2.
утра.
There's
Понятно.
a lot of technical reasons on the background why we are doing that, and that's just to make sure that when PTS2 is available, it's everything works as intended, especially since now we have a lot of different rules between people who want the expansion, people who don't, and all that. So there's a lot of background work that needs to be done. So that's why we need to take it down for 24 hours.
Okay, that's good to know. Nice and clear. All right. The exact times, obviously with the PTS, it can be very emergent. Some things that happen. We're, like I said, aiming for 1 p.m. CEST on Friday, but if those things change, just make sure that you're following the Division game on Twitter. Is probably the best one. If there are new things that pop up, that will be the first place that you will probably find out about them.
If I can just sorry, I just want to reply to the map dabber asking if we will have to re-download the entire PTS. No, you won't. You will keep the build, and you can just download the patch when the patch is available.
Great, fantastic. Hashtag get Yannick a cam. Yes, agreed. We need to sort out Yannick's. I do think though we probably need.
Что нового говорят? Да пока ничего. Понравилось им. Что там игроки попридумывали, и в принципе все. Понравилось им отзывы. Сказали, что некоторые гирсеты слишком крутые. Но это и так понятно. Все, то бишь. Сказали фиксы уже, изменения гирсетов будут уже во второй фазе. Ждем.
Bruce, you alluded to it when you were giving kind of the top level overview. Some things being overpowered. I'm assuming you're talking about the bulwark. Can we start there?
Yeah. So for those who don't know, or who didn't step foot into the DZ during Phase 1, Foundry Bulwark wasn't working as intended. So what was happening behind the scenes or under the hood was that the amount of damage that was being repaired. Or maybe I should start with what does the gear set do?
Про танковский сет. Говорят, что количество урона, которое восполнялось, было неверное. Но это об этом я сразу сказал.
40% of that over 10 seconds. And then if you wear the chest piece and the backpack, that 10 seconds becomes 6 seconds, and the repair amount becomes 60%. So it's really strong. But it's also supposed to be balanced and work appropriately. And part of the things that counter it are large, significant windows of burst damage, right? Because the repair effect is not a full repair; it's a percentage of the damage you take, and it's over time. Unfortunately, in PvP, we modify all the damage that players do. We reduce it, quite significantly.
PvP был мультипликатор урона из-за...
Hundreds of millions of damage to each other.
И модификатор срабатывал без процентов. То бишь, если игрок ПВЕ наносил 300 тысяч урона, в PvP это был 40 тысяч урона, и урон рассчитывался от ПВЕ урона, а не тот, который ты получил. Поэтому в PvP этот гирсет был слишком ОПшным.
So you can never actually do enough weapon damage as a player to someone who was wearing that gear set in order to kill them. So they are effectively invulnerable, unless you were able to do, a one-shot kill of some kind. So yeah, we've fixed that. We've also fixed something that I guess we might as well segue into, which is incoming repairs.
Do you mind if I ask what the fix was to that?
Входящий хил тоже меняет. Ну, наконец-то, блядь, они проснулись.
PvP modifier, or is it?
It will repair the amount of damage you actually took, rather than 70% more than you did, I guess, if that makes sense, or if that's
so it's just an order of operations thing, like it.
Exactly. So we were repairing your PvE damage in PvP, if that makes sense. It just got a little bit bonkers. On the PvE side of things, people may have also seen, footage floating around of people, standing in a legendary mission, just being bombarded with bullets and explosions, and effectively being invulnerable. That was because the attribute known as incoming repairs was affecting the repair value or the repair effect of that gear set as well. Meaning, if you had enough incoming repairs, you could get the repair amount up to 100%. So 1 for 1. So if you took 100,000 damage or you took 1,000,000 damage, you would repair that amount over time. So essentially, a unintended
Хилы в
and
PvP
degenerate
заиграют? Понятия
effect
не имею, я в
that made
PvP
the
не
gear set much
играю.
more powerful than it was supposed to.
Не,
That's also been fixed for phase.
комплект порежут. Даже не то, что порежут. Он работал не так, как должен работать. И в нем очень даже хорошо... А при чем тут рукожоп? Я просто не играю в PvP, меня воротит от PvP в девишке.
I can't remember when it wasn't the most powerful gun. What are you seeing from the feedback of rifles on the PTS at the moment, Bruce?
I mean, we obviously wanted to package the tuning of the M1A, you know, bringing it down to
Так, тема про М1А пошла.
normal levels of power. We wanted to package that with a sort of broad spectrum pass on all the weapons and certain archetypes in particular, right? So while it always sucks to have your favorite weapon or a weapon that you rely on to have its damage reduced, I think overall we're in a much better place, and I think most of the community or the people who I've spoken to agree and are much happier with sort of the current or the ecosystem as it's going to exist into U10 versus how it exists today. You know, so for anyone who's read the patch notes or has been keeping up to speed with PTS, SMGs and shotguns in particular received a pretty significant buff across.
Короче, опять говорят, что урон оружия бафнули примерно до уровня М1А классической.
Significantly as well.
И опять говорят, что они рады этим изменениям.
Some that were technically overperforming, but kind of living in the shadow of M1A, so like the MK17 were adjusted as well in order to kind of like bring them in
Кстати,
line.
да, МК-17 наоборот порезали.
Along with the M1A.
Сволочи.
LMGs, lots of LMGs were buffed, so everything kind of went up essentially to not M1A levels, but levels where we feel.
Мне тоже PvP во второй не нравится, зато в первой около 3000 часов наиграл. В первой намного лучше PvP, прям в разы.
SMGs and shotguns, which are difficult to use to their full potential in higher difficulty content like heroic or legendary, because you have to often expose yourself or play aggressively or play the flanks, which means that consequently you're exposing yourself to more potential damage, right? So we want to make using those weapons feel good and feel rewarding. And that, you know...
Короче, опять вспомнили про то, что существует в игре такое оружие, как дробовики и ППшки. Апнули им тоже дэмэдж. И аргументируют это тем, что в ближнем расстоянии нужно, в ближнем бою нужно подходить, чтобы ими пользоваться.
I guess everyone's entitled to their opinions, but
sure. I mean,
but mathematically speaking, it's a strong gear set.
Okay.
The 1-piece bonus is not necessarily anything to write home about. It's 5% weapon damage, but the 2- and 3-piece bonuses are multiplicative damage.
Обсуждают сейчас новый брендовый сет.
Meaning that they scale very.
Напоминаю, кто не в курсе, новый брендовый сет будет давать 5% урона оружия, 5% урона брони и 5% урона по здоровью.
In the end, when you make the final damage calculation at the when shooting at somebody, and if they're wearing armor, you're actually going to want to have damage to armor, or you're going to favor that ultimately, which is obvious to anyone who's been coveting or using, you know, the quote unquote holy trinity of the Hollow Man and Fox's Prayer and Contractor's Gloves, right? Because those damage to health, damage to armor, damage to targets outside.
Ой, да ладно, никто в этой маске полого человека не ходил. Чего вы лапшу на уши вешаете?
I'm not too concerned with Walker, Harris & Co. being.
Каждый нормальный человек в маске койота бегает.
Brand set, especially considering it has 2 new named on it, which is the perfect headhunter and perfect adrenaline rush, which are, I mean, very powerful talents that I think are going to be very coveted and used in a lot of builds.
Is there anything that you'd be particularly looking at as it pertains to that?
Так, ну и в новом брендовом сете будет также 2 новых именных предмета с новыми талантами.
Yeah, or any interactions that you think you might be interested in, or?
Not that I could think of off the top of my head. I mean, again, like, we're always listening and we want your feedback. So if you truly do feel and you can make a convincing argument that that brand set or those bonuses aren't up to snuff, like, let us know and we can adjust. This is that window of opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I see people, it's Twain in chat saying at least make it 10% and that sort of thing. Yeah. It's,
no, so that would be a mathematically incorrect thing to do, because that would just be the best brand set in the game for a weapon damage build. Yeah. Because 10% damage to health or 10% damage to armor is not equal to 10% weapon damage.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I'm just pointing out that it's great that people are talking about it. Like, throw out ideas. Bruce will come at you and tell you that you're wrong.
У меня в игре какая-то хреновая, что есть, что нет. Вот на близких дистанциях не поиграть нормально. Ну, это да. Просто не то, что броня, урон у мобов неадекватный абсолютно. Но это будет вот перебалансироваться во второй фазе, вот и посмотрим.
Kind of important to have, because there, I think, are some nuances that make it different during the PTS, because it's PC focused rather than having console players involved, and that's game difficulty. Some people are saying that the PTS feels too easy. What do you have on that, Bruce? Sorry, Yannick, you can pitch in too if you want.
Yeah, Yannick, feel free to jump in at any time, unless you want me to take this one too.
I think, I mean, it's, you know, what we wanted with Title Update 10 was to make sure that the game felt satisfying in terms of...
Первая движка в первых патчах долго доминировали векторы, а луги потом добавили хороших конкурентов, как Чан М1, ЛВОЦ и одна М1 тащит, вот и вся мета на всю игру и скоро порежет. Но М1, можно сказать, уже порезали, но ее не порезали, апнули все остальное оружие. А в первом доминировал вектор просто потому, что он был крафтовый, его можно было легко получить. Там все пушки были нормальные.
You know, it should still be a challenge for you if you are not fully optimized. But if you're one of those players that is already fully optimized, yes, heroic is probably going to be something that.
Блин, Яны, как обычно, затирает дичь. Потому что героики должны быть трудными.
And legendary should always be a challenge for you. But you know, mathematically, we really wanted to bring the players up and try to buff the entire population as much as possible to make sure that, you know, the game felt fun and satisfying. So I'm not really surprised to see that kind of feedback. Once again, it's not closing the door and saying, you know, we don't want to change anything, so let's keep that conversation going. But so far, we feel like we've landed in a pretty good spot in terms of trying to make the game feel more satisfying, more fun, and therefore not making everything trivial either.
Yeah, I think.
Яна, конечно, умеет затирать. В очередной раз нам говорят, что им все нравится. Вроде как попали туда, куда надо. В плане баланса. Ага. Им и в прошлый раз все нравилось. Хотя все остальные плевались. Я на ПТСе, кстати, не очень бегал, так что не могу подтвердить. Последствия коронавируса. Не, у него просто вебки нету.
So you see, you really have both points, and that really depends where you're coming from. And again, if you're like fully optimized and you're a player that has been farming legendary already before the, you know, with like title update 9 or 9.1, yes, legendary it's not going to be much different. It might be slightly easier for you as well. So sure, if you're in that case, but for a lot of other players for whom maybe, you know, like heroic or even challenging might have been frustrating. even though their build felt okay and they felt like they were playing the game right, but still there were these moments where I get one shot for no reason, or where like I'm emptying my mag on this NPC and I'm not killing him. These are the kind of things that we want to improve. So this, with title update 10, should feel better across the board for everyone.
No, I agree. And,
ну, блин, сказал, что в 10-м патче должно быть лучше все, и не будут такие толстые мобы, и все такое прочее. Ну, блин. Не, ну негативщиком я спокойно прошел героик. Вообще без проблем. И именно контролером, а не пиромантом. Мне даже не имея урона от оружия, мне дэмэджа хватало, чтобы мобов убивать. Надо зайти сгонять каким-нибудь нормальным билдом, посмотреть, насколько поменялось. Кстати, я жду всех изменений, когда они вторую фазу ведут, чтобы уже глобально все заценить.
It's difficult to have sort of gotten any objective feedback right now, or to have any sort of strong sentiment about how the adjustments that we did for phase 1 affected PvP, because as I was saying earlier, any time that I observed any action in the DC, for the most part, it was people sort of clowning on each other with Foundry Bulwark. So I'm hoping to get more data feedback and with Foundry Bulwark, obviously, as it should.
Говорит, каждый раз, когда пытался в темной зоне протестировать ТТК измененный в патче, натыкался на игроков в этом новом танковском сете, которые были неубиваемые. И не удалось ему посмотреть, что они там наделали с ПВП.
Exotic weapons, exotic armor gear, talent adjustments, gear set adjustments, all that stuff that's coming in phase 2. So that's what I'm personally like. So I hesitate to say anything with any sort of certainty right now, other than please continue to go into the dark zone, shoot at each other, test things, and give us your feedback, because now is when we're doing our best to balance things the way they should be.
Well, I do see a note here, and I don't know if that's something that you know about.
В общем, попросили сходить на ПТС, зайти в темную зону и пострелять друг друга. И заценить изменения.
I love using my MMRs, but it hasn't really felt like there's been a reason to use them. Is there something there that I can get excited about?
In the dark zone, in PvP, or in PV?
Yes, or both. I don't know. Any MMR changes I can get excited about?
Well, I mean, so MMR damage, comparatively to all the other weapons in PvP, went up by 12.5%, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Cool.
So that's not insignificant. And we've also added a new exotic sniper rifle, the Mantis. We've added a new talent called Headhunter. Those two things combined are incredibly powerful and make sniping feel incredibly satisfying. So I think, I think sniper builds are going to be in a better place in TU10.
Cool.
Согласен. Говорит, снайпера будут тащить. В 10-м патче с этим новым талантом. Согласен. Снайперский билд должен быть хорош. По крайней мере, я в таком точно буду бегать. Солянова, конечно, не в пати.
I mean, there's a lot of things that are coming with PTS2, and yes, there's a lot of changes that are coming with rewards, and we're going to go through that. I think one thing that's going to be interesting and hopefully is going to answer to a lot of discussions and feedback we've got is the general buff on exotics. So the mass on exotic items is going to be in PTS2. So now it's going to be a good time to
Почти все экзотики бафнут, но это было понятно.
We got feedback on PTS1 that exotics were still underperforming? Yes, because they hadn't yet received their pass. So TS2 is going to be where this is. So I think that's going to be interesting now to look at that, especially with all the gear changes that are already in PTS1 and a few additional tweaks in PTS2, but now see how all of that is going to synergize with the exotics getting their pass. I think that's going to be interesting to see what surfaces there.
Alright, I did, while I have
Да, фокус второй фазы будет по большей части на экзотиках.
So, we're getting more gear. Is there ever any more stash space coming? Could Inigo have your PayPal to buy some stash space from you is basically what I'm asking.
It's when we increased it last time, we doubled it, and we doubled it with the idea in mind of like, okay, instead of doing like we did in Division 1, where we did small increments one after the other, always hoping it would be enough, and it never was enough. Here we thought, okay, we are going to double it, and hopefully that should be good. So increasing it now, I can't say if it's possible or not, to be honest. We haven't really looked into it, so it's not really on the table at the moment, but that's something.
Не знаю, что серьезно, кому-то 300 слотов в тайнике не хватает?
It's possible because when we doubled it, that was already pretty much the like, okay, we're gonna do that, but that's probably the only time we're ever.
Ибо вопрос был, не собираетесь ли вы увеличить место в тайнике?
I've done my bit, but if we have any updates on that, I'll probably just keep asking and seeing if that's something that moves across, or if we can just say a hard no, that'd be great too.
It's also, I mean, you still have, 300 slots in your stash. So it's, of course, for some people, it's still not enough, but it's a lot. So I don't know how much good it would do for you.
Как бы, да, не хватает. Что вы там храните? Учитывая то, что у меня в тайнике лежит, наверное, все в игре. Все, что есть, все там лежит.
Have a thing here from Nikki that was sent through to the community team. So some of the change to phases that Nikki mentioned, there's an updated spread of item power between minimum and maximum rolls. This will result in mostly fewer rolls at the minimum. That's good. Increased minimum item power for all caches. Also, all containers and missions now scale their regular and targeted loot with difficulty, which means no more purples on challenge or higher.
Угу. Ну, контейнеры теперь на миссиях будут скалироваться, но мы это уже знаем. Нет, сказали, что не добавят. Сказали, что 300 должно быть достаточно. Да ну серьезно, 300 это и так дофига.
Yannick, what can you tell us about the global event while I roll some of my gameplay that I took yesterday?
Фирменное оружие специализации бафнуть не хотят, а то оно пососное какое-то, учитывая то, к чему еще и патроны в постоянном доступе. Ну да, согласен. Оружие какое-то специализации так себе.
You basically stun all the other NPCs and you get a buff to your RPM. So that's really about just accuracy and about prioritizing your targets. But it's also very rewarding and very fun when you actually kill the Guardian.
Это у нас новое глобальное событие, которое вчера началось, да?
So it's one that's it's fun. It really changes the way you're approaching every of the fire teams, and of course it creates situations sometimes where you have the Guardian is all the way at the back because it's a distance, like it's a sniper or something, and it's protecting a rusher. So you really have to even more than ever, or like be really aware of what's going on around you and where are the targets, and necessarily shoot the one that's closest.
Да. Чувствую, будет веселое глобальное событие. Все иммунные, убить можно только Гвардиана, который с желтым значком. Если честно, до 300 не хватает, если, конечно, вы играете парой-тройкой билдов. У меня в тайнике лежит билдов на 20 шмота. Огнемет говно, толку нет, ни разу не доставал, как взял спецуху. Согласен.
some rewards attached.
Почему веселое, сложное, походу? Но веселое в кавычках имелось в виду, да.
It's going to. You can narrate them. I just wanted to show people how to activate the thing and go through the challenges and stuff.
But it's similar to other global events. So that means that the first time you activate it, you're gonna get the first reward automatically, which is an arm patch.
Так, а что там дают за десяточку?
Yeah, look at that. And then you get caches of crafting materials, season caches and things like that.
Такое
You have
себе.
also, as every other global event, you have an exotic cache at rank 9, and then you get a backpack trophy at rank 10 as well.
Perfect. No, that's cool. And how long is it running for?
So it's for 1 week. So that's until next week, Tuesday. So yeah, that's the time you have. And once again, as a reminder, because it's not necessarily clear, as usual, all the daily challenges you have will stay in the subsequent days. So the day 1 challenges, you don't have to complete them on day 1. You can complete them all
Так,
day
ладно, народ, давайте
just
закругляйтесь
adding
уже.
on top of each other as they unlock.
Great. One of the things that I want to clarify as we kind of come towards the end of season 1 soon, and start looking towards season 2, the season pass premium track dynamic. Can you clarify that? Because some people may have missed that during season 1 they got part of it free, and then in season 2 it's slightly different. Can you give us the rundown on that?
Напомнили, что в следующем сезоне будет платный пропуск, которая вторая дорожка. Так как первая была доступна для всех купивших дополнение.
So just to be clear, the season is free. The season is available to all Warlords of New York players without any extra purchase. So the manhunt, all the season activities, all of that, you don't need to purchase the season pass for that. When you purchase the season pass, what you get is actually you unlock the
Но опять напоминает, что сезон для всех, но только первая дорожка. Вторая дорожка, которая с косметикой, с всякой фигней, с ресурсами, она платная.
That's what the season pass gives you. So that track includes a bunch of vanity options. So you get a unique outfit and these kind of things. You get skins for your weapons and also some extra caches of gear.
Ну, опять платить надо. Но это по желанию.
Overtime, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I can cook dinner later. I do.
Доступ к там шмоткам и всей фигне-то получаешь все равно.
These things that seem to happen when we put out any kind of PTS or any time a client patch goes in, there's information in there that we probably didn't want in there. Can you talk to us a little bit about leaky things, Yannick?
Yeah, so that's the risk we take every time we do a PTS. We put a build out there that is not finished, but may contain information that we don't actually want to disclose, where we may not have had time to actually hide things. And so there's always a risk that people will be able to find information there. And this is what happened. And this is what happened with this PTS. Now, the amount of information that was found on this specific PTS is beyond what we would have been normally comfortable with. So, yeah, it's a bit disappointing. Leaks suck, but it's on us. We should have done a better job.
Сказали, что на ПТС какой-то слив просочился.
All we would ask is just, especially everything related to story, if you want to discuss it, please be mindful of people that don't want to have the story spoiled. So please.
История второго сезона. Уже заспойлерили на ПТС.
And also keep in mind that all of that is still work in progress. It's still in development. So you know, there may still be surprises that have not been part of that. That's for the narrative content. Now, of course, the second part is people will have seen references to what is called Skyscraper. And yes, we are working on a new PvE game mode, but we're currently coding Skyscraper. And the idea of this game mode is something that should kind of
новый PvE мод.
PvE replayable game mode.
Неужели?
So yes, that should have been a surprise. I guess it won't be. That's our fault. So at least it's fair for everyone to know. One thing that we wanted to make clear, though, because we already see immediately the comparison with Underground, and we see people talking about Underground 2.0, this is not a new Underground. This is, and we've said from the beginning, when we talked about Underground.
Режим будет не андеграундом с первой части.
Finding inspiration from those kind of things, but we are not interested in recreating a copy of those modes in our game. And that's the case here. This is not an Underground 2.0, so it's just to make sure that everybody has the right expectations. When Skyscraper comes out, and it's going to take some time until it comes out, it's going to be a completely different and new experience.
На Skyscraper это перевод вообще как небоскреб переводится. Это не подземка, это небоскреб. Не путайте. Да, вполне вероятно будет что-то похожее. По этажам будем шляться. Типа с каждым этажом будет сложность подниматься или что-нибудь такое. Посмотрим. Не, заспойлерили не рейд, заспойлерили новый режим. Ну, они так сказали, по крайней мере. Рейд там и так, в принципе. Хотя почему? Мы знаем только, где это будет происходить. Пойду-ка в первую часть поиграю. Они ее хоть в покое оставили. Ничего платить не надо, и патчами никто не ломает. Ну, возможно, да. Только там делать нечего. Ха-ха. Так, все. Дальше пошли скрины и вся фигня. Ауч. Никому не нужна. Не, ну то, что будет новый режим, это хорошо. Потому что, ну, реально задолбали одни и те же миссии фармить. То бишь, кроме рейда, в 10-м патче будет еще и новый режим. Чистить этажи как подземку со временем и выживалку выкатят. Ну, посмотрим, что это будет. Загадывать нет смысла.
Another returning agent with Lara Necro. She keeps doing crazy cool stuff. So teaming up with cosplayers seems to be the order of the day, and it's totally worth it. So this one, it's just, I would tell you...
Да, охуеть, в игре есть сюжет. Да, Андрюх, прикинь, оказывается, есть.
Go and find them. Yeah, look at the screen down the bottom. What's that? Photoshop is not cosplay. That is true. But it's a collaboration, Photoshop and cosplay. Yeah. So pictures of cosplayers with awesome Photoshop work on top. Okay, that's yeah. Again, Lara Necro over on Twitter. Go and follow her. She keeps putting out crazy cool stuff as well. Okay.
Да, зима, конечно, первой части хорошая, согласен.
Yannick, Bruce, did you see anything in chat that you want to address before we head off?
I mean, there's obviously a lot of people saying, buff exotics, and if you guys don't mind, I can, really quickly just sort of highlight some of the standards that are coming.
Хайлайты изменения экзотиков. Давай. Это нам интересно.
I can bring some numbers. So Chameleon, damage increase by 32.8%.
Хамелеона на треть бафнули, лол. Бигхорн на 11%.
Shooting people in the head, you're going to increase your overall headshot damage.
Из Бигхорна урон в голову увеличивает еще дополнительно урон.
What's that? Sorry?
I'm just saying, way to bury the lead on these changes. Like, just these little things. Keep going. This is insane. Cool. Keep going.
Most of the exotics got sort of a base weapon damage buff in order to make.
Почти все экзотики получили увеличение базового урона.
Non-exotic counterparts as well. So I'm just going through them to see if there's any additional standouts. BTSU data gloves got a pretty significant buff now, actually. So if you're wearing the BTSU data gloves, depending on how many
Перчатки
skills
бив
you
не
have, you're
бафнули.
going to get a pretty significant skill haste increase to the hive skill in particular, so that there's more sort of, I guess, incentive, or if you're relying on your hive and then you have to detonate it in order to get the overcharge effect, you're going to get your hive back and your charges much faster. So that, I think, is a pretty great change.
Не согласен, но
We can talk
посмотрим.
about PvP really quick, because I see a lot of people saying like fix Negotiator's Dilemma or fix Imperial Dynasty, all this stuff. So Negotiator's Dilemma, we've reduced the radius that marked targets can damage each other in PvP to 15 meters.
Так, ну
So
про
that
дилемму
there's
в
some
PvP мы уже
counters.
слышали. Ага, до 15
You get
метров
marked, you
уменьшили
get marked, you
расстояние.
know that if you get far enough away from each other, you won't
То
take
бишь
as much
дилемма в
damage.
PvP будет
There's
дамажить по
especially
меткам
consistent
только если
version,
находится в
we're
радиусе
going to try and address
15
the
метров друг от
issue
друга.
of shooting, we're going to try to also incorporate more visual UI feedback, so you
Ну, 15
know
метров это, кстати, не
kind
так
of
уж
at
и
a
много.
glance that you're in danger of being affected by Negotiator's Dilemma's mark effect. What else in there? I mean, we could also really quickly discuss the reduction in bleed damage in PvP that a lot of people were surprised by. We reduced bleed damage on the Stinger Hive and the Mortar Turret and Explosive Seeker by 75%. We're going to increase the damage that the Stinger Hive does by 75%. So the idea here is that if you're a high skill tier user and you throw your Stinger Hive down,
PvP эффект кровотечения понерфили на 70%, но тем не менее компенсировали повышением, это все повышением урона от самих обилок на 70%. Чуть, по-моему, бред какой-то.
So by dialing down the bleed damage, we're going to remove some of the sort of frustrating elements of it. But by increasing the damage that the drones do, we're going to leverage the fact that it's area denial. And if you stay in its area of effect, you're going to take a significant amount of damage. So that's just to shed some light on sort of like the inner workings there. Unfortunately, PTS phase 1 kind of got half of the equation in. So this is what's coming in phase 2 to sort of like compensate for those terms.
A couple of things that are standing out. Are there any changes to the Eagle Bearer or Fire Holster?
Imperial Dynasty?
Yeah.
So we aren't changing anything regarding Imperial Dynasty in PvE, but in PvP, thank you for bringing that up, because again, if you haven't been following the PTS, yes, it will no longer immediately ignite someone in PvP.
Ну, то, что империальная кобура теперь не поджигает людей, которые находятся за стенкой, это мы уже знаем, это уже есть сейчас.
Apply a burn effect to somebody. So meaning that if you're not the person, or if you're fighting someone who has Imperial Dynasty, there's a window of opportunity and there's some element of counterplay, so that when you get in range of its effect, you can either get out of that range or you can break line of sight and prevent yourself from being set on fire. So I think that's a significant one. You mentioned Eagle Bearer.
Орел, давай, что там с орлом?
It's getting a damage increase of 7.8%, but no other adjustments.
Урон орла увеличен на 7,5%. Все. Ну это бред.
Significant change to weapon handling that was supposed to go into PTS phase 1. Unfortunately, due to one reason or another, it didn't make it in. That's going to be in phase 2. So please.
В первой фазе все-таки не поменяли обращение с оружием. Она все-таки будет только во второй фазе. Но я тоже не заметил никакой разницы. Оно и понятно почему тогда.
By 1% rather than a fraction of that percentage. Meaning if you have 10% weapon handling, you've got 10% accuracy, stability, reload speed, and weapon swap. So I think that that's going to be a pretty
interesting,
spicy attribute.
I'd love to see some theory crafting around that, because there are some damage increases in there with weapon handling.
Yes.
Now, when you have reload speed and you have weapon swap, like, is a big chunk of that. I'd love to see some calculations.
Да, можно будет поржать, собрать пулеметный билд с фокусом на эргономичность. Так как теперь эргономичность в 4 раза бафнули.
I did allude last week to the fact that we had said there'd be 2 phases of the PTS, and I did kind of prod a little bit and ask if there's a potential for more. Yannick, where do we stand on that right now, with phase 2 starting soon?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, we have phase 2. We have a lot of changes for phase 2. I think it's becoming very clear for us that we will want to have a phase 3. We will very likely want to have a phase 3 at the very least to validate the final changes. Also, because as Bruce mentioned, phase 1 was not necessarily as as successful as we would have wanted in terms of PvP feedback because of the Foundry work. So I think. We will very likely be doing a phase 3. At least we would like to do it.
That's good. I mean, that's really good news for the health of the game, so I'm very excited about that.
Разработчики также планируют все-таки сделать 3-ю фазу ПТС.
Everyone in the community. So do stay tuned for opportunities to talk about the PTS, and we'll obviously be talking more about it next week. For now, though, that's going to wrap up State of the Game number 161. Thanks, Bruce. Thanks, Yannick.
В Дане поменяли ТАУ, если ты про стаки. Андрюх, ты о чем?
And he's judging me really hard. No, great.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's going to be all. Thanks, Bruce, for bringing the heat. And make sure, everyone in chat, that you stay involved with giving feedback on the PTS, because it's much appreciated and it's going to be really good for the game. That's going to be all for today, and I will leave people with some Division photos. We did have some questions on Twitter about how people can send in photos for the end of the show. Just use hashtag the Division2 photos on Twitter, and we will share those and make a little video and put them in the show at the end. So please get stuck into that if that's what you want to do. All right, that's going to be all. Bye. Yannick, wave.
Yeah, I'm waving.
All right.
And a blink.
All right, catch you later, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Так, с этим все понятно. Текс. Что за стаки?
Да что ты, черт побери, такое несешь?
Не, я не понял, а серьезно, что за стаки-то?
Да я думал, ты про этот, который, помнишь, был до этого, стакает по 1% эргономичности.
Ну.
Ты про него?
Нет.
Нет, ты говорил, что типа можно будет побегать с пулеметом.
Ну, я говорю, пулеметный билд, собрать его тупо на эргономичность. Ну, то бишь, эргономичность во всех шмотках. И поржать, посмотреть, что оно будет. Пулеметы ж, это ж у них и меткость херовенькая, и отдача у них, блин, по крайней мере, первые несколько патронов жесткая, и перезарядка длинная.
Самая жесткая отдача, по мне, такое это Вайрек.
Не, ну так-то да, но просто в пулемете ее долго нужно держать, понимаешь? Как бы,
Да.
Ну, короче, ты понял, о чем.
У меня лежит гадрольный, прям по максимуму гадрольный, с перфектным этим эргономичностью РПК. Он ждет
Да,
свой
ну,
час.
РПК, это не пулемет, блин, это какой-то шлак.
Это полуАРка, полупулемет.
Давай попробуем, не знаю, другой какой-нибудь режим.
Сейчас посмотрю.
Я прогуглю, все правильно. Завершите 2 матча в горнило с боевой группой, в которой будет хотя бы один еще помимо тебя.
Так, ладно.
Че, пойдемте?
Че, я думаю, все на сегодня. В принципе, что тут? Итоги подводить как бы глупо стрима. Все, что я могу сказать, ждем 2-ю фазу, и там уже итоги подводим. В пятницу, ну, в пятницу итоги, я думаю, подводить мы не будем. В пятницу сервера откроют. Где-то в субботу, воскресенье, плюс-минус, я думаю, уже будут какие-то мнения насчет патча. Посмотрим, что они там понерфят, что поменяют. Ну и, собственно, ребаланс экзотиков. Вот это я хочу узнать. Ну, кстати, про сет, про негативные эффекты ничего не сказали. Это хорошо. Может, все-таки он попадет такой, какой он сейчас есть на ПТС, на лайв сервера. Блин, вот это будет классно. Просто он какой-то он сейчас апокалипсис творит мобам. Ух. Ладно, все, давайте. Всем пока.